everyone. In this video today I will show you how we can build a web application to anonymize data with Streamlit. We'll use Streamlit as a way of building web applications, and if you're not familiar with this plugin, I encourage you to have a look at my previous videos. We'll also have a look and use the st-annotated-text plugin, which is a great plugin from this guy, and we can plug it directly within Streamlit, and we'll finally use the SpaCy library that allows us to use named entity recognition models in order to detect entities. So if you install these three packages, you're good to go, and let's have a look. So I'm ready. I started my application. Now it's empty. It's within a folder that contains my dependencies. I also put the language models from SpaCy, here, and then I also put some test data. Nothing really fancy. So this is the main script of the app. We can start importing packages. I will import Streamlit, then I will import SpaCy, and then I will import from annotated text, import annotated text. So let's say, for example, we want to select a language from a list in order to process our data. And we have two options, either a French or an English language. So selected language equal st sidebar select box. And then here we'll put a label, select a language. And then we'll put some options. So let's say en and fr. Okay, so if we save this, it's hot reloaded, and we can have directly the modification on the web browser. Then we'll have to pick the entities that we want to extract. So selected entities, st sidebar multi select, because we can select many entities at once. Select the entities you want to detect. For example, let's put the options to loc, per, and org. So location, person, and organization. And let's put the default values to this list directly. Okay, now we have these selected entities here. Now I want to load the models before processing any data. So I will create a function which I call load models. Okay, I will load the French model. So it's inside the fr folder. I will do the same thing for the English model, which is inside the en folder. Okay, so now I will return an object, a dictionary with en as key for the English model and fr as key for the French model. Okay, now I will return this object here, and then I can put my models inside the main script of my app. So load models. So now, as you can see, the script is running and it's loading the models. But if you notice that if we change anything on the interface, the models are reloaded again. And this behavior is unwanted, actually. We don't want to load the models every time we change something on the UI or interact with any widget. For this purpose, I will add a cache decorator on top of my load models function so that my models are only loaded once. And yeah, to do this, I have to add a cache and then show spinner false. Let's put it to false. Allow output mutation equal to true, and then the suppress warning equal to true. Okay, so now if we look at this, if we change something on the screen, the model are cached and we don't have the execution of this function anymore. Okay, so now let's get the data from the interface. So I will put text input equal st text area, type a text to anonymize. Okay, so it's good. Now if I want some text from an uploaded file, I can do this as well. So let's call uploaded file equal to file uploader, and then we'll put a label or upload a file, and then we can specify the types of files we can upload. So let's say I want some doc file, I want docx for Word documents, and also some PDF maybe, and the classical txt. All right. So now if we want to extract the data from the uploaded file, we can do this very easily. If uploaded file is not none, I can get the value text input equal uploaded file get value. This is a byte object. I have to convert it into a string. Okay, so if I want to do it, I can have this method, which is decode UTF-8, and it should be good. Now, if I want to print the text I type here or I upload inside the document, I can do this very easily by st markdown input text equal text input. I have to put a format here. Yeah, so if I type something here, it gets reflected in this area. And if I upload some documents, let's say this one, I get this text which is inside the document. Okay, it looks like it's working. Now I have to select a model based on the selected language. So let's say the selected model equal models, and then I call the selected language, sorry, as a key to pick my model. Okay, so now I want to process the text I type in here or I upload inside the document so that I can extract the entities. To do this, I will create a small function which I'll call process text. This function will get a doc, and the doc is basically selected model, which I'll pass the text input into. Okay, sorry about this. Let's put a pass here to save this. Okay, so process document. So I have to return a list of tokens that I'll have to pass inside this package so that I can print the entities. So basically, if you don't have any entities, it's a simple text. If the entity is detected within the token, it's a tuple, and basically it has three elements. The first one is the text, the second one is the entity, and the third one is the color. So basically we want to do this by iterating over all the tokens of the doc. So for token in doc, okay, so if the token ent type in the log is equal to person, let's say, okay, then I will append a tuple to tokens, and it will contain the token text, then the person name of the entity, and finally a color. And let me pick a color, for example, yes, this one. Okay, and I'll have to do this for the organization and the location. So if the entity type inside is inside the GP or the lock entities, I'll have to change this. location, then I'll have to change the color. Let me pick another color. Okay, let's call it FDA, and then do the same thing for the organization. So if the token type equal to org, we'll call this organization, and then we'll pick the color AFA. Okay, so let me put an elif here. Okay, and then finally, if we don't have any entity detected, we can append the text. So basically I will put a space before just to keep things clean and not go connected to each other in any ways. And then I'll put the token text, okay, and then add another trailing space. And if I put everything inside the tokens, I'll have to simply return the tokens at the end. Okay, so if I get my document, I can process the tokens directly by process text. This returns the tokens, and then I can visualize them inside the annotated text like this. All right, so my text is, my name is Sarah, I live in Chicago and I work at Microsoft. This looks like it's working. Now I want to add a functionality that can anonymize each entity. So let's do this. We'll add an attribute, an argument to the process text function. We'll call it anonymize. We'll set it to false. So if anonymize, I will create anonymized tokens list. Then I'll go over my previously created tokens. If a token has a tuple type, so let's call this token. So we'll have to add some data inside the anonymized tokens. So we'll put, as a second element of a tuple, we'll put the original entity name. Then we'll put the color. And finally, instead of putting the original text of the entity, we will put a string composed of x's, which has the same length as the original token. So it's token 0. And otherwise, okay, we'll have to return the original token. Okay, so if you do this, we have anonymized tokens. And then finally, I'll have to return anonymized tokens. Yes. Okay, let's call this functionality here. We'll have to create a small widget, like a checkbox, for example. We'll call it anonymize, st checkbox. We'll set it to false by default. So it's anonymize. Yes, and if we check it, it becomes a value. It becomes a true value, and we'll have to pass it to inside the process text function. So anonymize equal to anonymize. All right, so now if we check this, we'll have our entities anonymized. So one last thing here, if you want to select the entities that you want to detect and anonymize, we'll have to add a small modification to our process text function. So I will put selected entities here. So in this first case, if I want to select the person entities, I'll have to add a small condition here. And basically this condition will be PER in selected entities. And I'll have to do the same condition in the two other if conditions. So, for example, in this case, I will add, this is lock, and then for the third one, I'll have to add, remove this one, and then put org here. Okay, so basically it's normal that we got this error. We'll have to add the selected entities as a second argument to the process text function. Okay, so look at this. If we remove the person, the location, it doesn't get detected. And yeah, it looks like it's working. So yeah, as you see, it's quite easy to build a text anonymizer in a few steps in Python using Streamlit, SpaCy, and the st-annotated-text package. Now, if you want to deploy this application to Heroku, we'll have to change 3 additional files. We'll have to put the requirements inside a requirements.txt. We'll have to create a proc file, which is quite generic. You can have it from here and copy paste it. Basically, it tells Heroku what to run. So it has to run setup.sh and then run the app.py. And then finally, we'll have to put the setup.sh, which puts some basic configuration within our app. And basically, you can copy paste this script and use this deployment method directly. Okay, now before deploying to Heroku, we'll have to put our code inside a GitHub project. I have already done this, and it's actually Anonymizer. And then we'll have to go to Heroku. Yes, I've already done this this process, but if you want to deploy your app, you'll have to go to create new app. Let's call it Anonymizer demo. Select a region and then create the app. And finally, you'll have to link your project repository. So it's called Anonymizer. It gets detected, and then I have to connect it to Heroku. Finally, you'll have to enable the build. I'm not gonna use the automatic builds, but I will deploy the main branch, which is the current branch of my project. And then once you hit deploy, I'm not gonna do it here because it's already deployed. You will be provided at the end with the URL that will give you access to the application once it's deployed. And basically, if you have a look at this app, we have everything deployed in this section. So yeah, that's it. As you see, it's quite easy to build an application like this. If you want to improve this application, you can do a variety of ways. You can, for example, use other language models. In this demo, I chose the English and the French models, which you can grab from SpaCy. I used the small models, but you can use the large ones, and you can also use more sophisticated models based on transformers and deep neural networks and so on. You can also add some other functionalities to the app. For example, if you want to process the batch of documents, if you want to add a download button, you can also process other types of data. In this demo, I chose to process the TXT files only, but you can do the same thing for the documents, the Word documents, and finally the PDF. And if you're using PDF, you can choose to process them by applying an OCR or that kind of stuff. And finally, you can, if you want, increase the capability of your machine behind this deployed app by going through AWS, for example, if you want more power. And in that case, you'll have to deploy by hand by using Docker or that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think I hope this app will give you an overview of what we can do with Streamlit and other libraries and gets you started prototyping as well. Thank you guys for watching. If you like the content of this channel, don't hesitate to give a like, to share this video, and subscribe to this channel. See you next time for more videos.